sure many of you remember the morning of September 11, 2001, when 3 commercial airliners were hijacked by the Al-Qaeda terrorists and used as weapons in multiple attacks on American soil. The world was forever changed on that tragic day. Thousands of hardworking Americans lost their lives, including my dad. My family has dealt with this loss slowly over time, but it would not have been possible without the support of our fellow Americans. They have helped keep the memory of my father alive, as well as all those who fell on that day. For those of you that don't remember that day as vividly as I do, and wish to learn and understand more about such a significant event in history, the 9/11 Memorial is now open to the public. Recently, I was able to take a tour of the memorial in its entirety, and I can honestly say it's magnificent. In this informative presentation, I hope to provide you with some background so that if and when you do go to Ground Zero, which I highly recommend that you do, you can comprehend just how much thoughtful consideration went into the memorial to make it a special place, as well as prepare you for some of what's inside. Even though my knowledge of this topic is extensive, as I began researching, I felt my appreciation for the museum grew significantly. For that reason, I want to inform you about 3 important aspects of the museum that I wish I knew prior to touring it for myself. First, provide you with a general overview of the museum, including some of the most significant features. Next, discuss the individuality theme of the museum that helps to keep the focus on those that perished and their families. Finally, how the museum helps signify the sense of community the American people have felt since the day they witnessed the towers fall. The World Trade Center buildings were so illustrious, standing at approximately 14,000 feet tall, consisting of 110 floors each. They were the focal point of the New York City skyline, featured in many movies and infamous around the world. From an economic standpoint, they were the global business epicenter, with many top trading firms located throughout the buildings. The Twin Towers were more than that, though. The towers were the heart of one of the largest cities in the world, with millions admiring their beauty and presence. Although the lives lost are irreplaceable, the design committee felt that they could at least produce something equally as outstanding architecturally from the rubble that remained of the Twin Towers, mainly to prove to the world as well as to the attackers that America will always rise from the ashes. Many different designs were considered for the memorial. In fact, a competition was launched by an organization known as the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation in search of a winning design that captured the true essence of the event. In total, 5,201 designs were submitted from over 65 different countries. Each one was then reviewed by a jury for the best components. Attention to detail was definitely important to the design committee, so much so that even the most important aspects of the plan have great meaning behind them. The 3 major exhibits commemorating 9/11 include 2 massive pools that represent the footprint of where the towers once stood. These are considered to be the largest man-made water features in the world, and engraved into them are the names of all the victims. To touch upon the attention to detail theme I mentioned earlier, the names are systematically located by floors, so that co-workers' names sit beside each other, symbolic to the way they once did at their desks. In addition, a unique modern skyscraper known as the Freedom Tower was built on the premises where the financial activity that once took place in the tower now continues, as well as an underground museum displaying multimedia images and artifacts. The 3 structures are surrounded by a 6-acre memorial plaza in which a tree known as the survival tree can be found. The story of the survival tree is that firefighters pulled it from the rubble only to discover that every limb except for one was badly burnt and damaged. It was taken to a New York City Park Association, nursed back to health, and is now on display for everyone to see. To match the beauty of the World Trade Center was no easy task. Many people associated the buildings with a sense of hominess, and for that reason, the steps taken in the aftermath of the attacks were often very controversial. People were hesitant to say goodbye to the towers and bring closure to such a horrific event. Now, 10 years later, many Americans take pride in the resilience the memorial represents. It is a wonderful place for American people to gather in commemoration and in appreciation of life. As you make your way into the museum, the empowering feelings felt above the ground from the massive pools, Freedom Tower, and flower trees are quickly forgotten, as you are taken right back to the day of the attacks. The museum is dark, cold, and underground. In a lot of ways, you feel as if you were in the towers experiencing the death and destruction of that day firsthand. Voices, images, and quotes of people expressing sheer panic are playing all around you as you move through. so many people still have distinct memories of September 11th that it is usually a very silent viewing experience. In that sense, it is described as being similar to the Holocaust Museum located in Washington, D.C. However, what makes this museum so different is its ability to relate to a generation that's all consumed and constantly distracted by social media. One particular aspect of the museum I want to focus on is the individuality theme. There's one entire section designed to recognize the people that died as well as the strength of the loved ones who endured it all and continue to persevere. Similar to that of Facebook, massive touchscreen computers are located throughout the museum. People who visit have the ability to type in the names of the loved ones and view an entire profile dedicated to their memory. Pictures, letters, audios sent in by the family victims can also be accessed on those monitors. I believe that part of being American and considering yourself a member of this community means that you should have knowledge of the country's history. 9/11 changed this country and the world forever. I believe all Americans have a duty to educate themselves about that day. The museum located in New York is a place where people can do that. It is important to go there with an open mind and try to think about an event on a grand scheme. Think about the people that were affected and others who were frightened just looking on from afar. People came together on that day to help one another, and most who witnessed that event will continue to think back on it as a major moment in their life. I know I will.